If you are over 60, it is important to realize that your body isn't processing fuel the same way it did 30 years ago. As we age, our insulin sensitivity naturally declines, and we often lose muscle mass, the very glucose sink our body relies on to clear sugar from the bloodstream. This means a breakfast that worked for you in your 30s might be causing internal chaos today. Today we are looking at 5 common breakfast mistakes that are spiking your blood sugar and exactly how to fix them to keep your energy steady all day long. The first mistake is something I call the naked carb, and it's often hidden inside what we consider the perfect, healthy breakfast, a plain bowl of oatmeal or a piece of whole grain toast. The problem is that when you eat these complex carbs entirely on their own, they are essentially naked. Without the presence of healthy fats, fiber, or protein to slow down digestion, even these good carbohydrates hit your bloodstream far too quickly. For someone over 60, this leads to an immediate glucose spike followed by an inevitable energy crash. The fix is a simple rule: clothe the carb. You should never eat a carbohydrate in isolation. By adding a healthy fat or protein, like a handful of walnuts, a tablespoon of chia seeds, or a scoop of Greek yogurt, you create a buffer that slows down sugar absorption and keeps your levels steady. The next mistake is what I call the liquid gold illusion. For years, we've been conditioned to think that a glass of orange juice or a brightly colored store-bought smoothie is the ultimate picture of health. It feels like a quick way to get a concentrated dose of vitamins and energy to start the day. However, for your blood sugar, these liquids are often anything but golden. Relying on fruit-based drinks as a breakfast staple is one of the fastest ways to sabotage your glucose goals before the day has even truly begun. The science here comes down to one critical missing ingredient: fiber. When you juice a piece of fruit, you are effectively stripping away the structural fiber that nature provided to regulate sugar absorption. Without that fiber, the natural fructose hits your system with zero resistance. For someone over 60, whose metabolic flexibility is naturally more limited, a single glass of orange juice can spike blood sugar just as rapidly as a can of soda. Store-bought smoothies are often even more deceptive, as they frequently contain added fruit purees or high-sugar bases that pack a massive amount of sugar into a single serving. The solution is to prioritize the whole fruit approach. Instead of drinking your fruit, eat it. By consuming a whole orange or a handful of berries, you are keeping the fiber intact. This fiber acts as a natural buffer, forcing your body to work harder to break the food down and ensuring a much slower, more manageable release of sugar into your bloodstream. If you prefer a smoothie for convenience, you can still make it work by flipping the ratio. Focus on making the drink vegetable heavy, using ingredients like spinach, kale, or cucumber as the base. Then, add only a small serving of low glycemic fruits, such as blueberries or raspberries, to provide flavor without the massive glucose surge. This adjustment allows you to keep the convenience of a liquid breakfast while protecting your metabolic health. The third mistake is ignoring the protein first principle. Too often, protein is treated as a minor side dish rather than the foundation of the meal. You might have a large bowl of cereal with just a tiny splash of milk, or a stack of pancakes with a single thin slice of bacon. When protein is an afterthought, you miss out on one of the most powerful tools available for metabolic control. This lack of balance forces your body to rely almost entirely on carbohydrates for energy, which leads to those sharp spikes and drops that leave you feeling exhausted by 11 a.m. The science behind prioritizing protein is especially vital for those over 60. As we age, we face a natural decline in muscle mass known as sarcopenia. Because muscle is our body's primary glucose sink, the place where sugar is stored and used for energy, maintaining that muscle is critical for keeping blood sugar stable. Furthermore, protein has a unique effect on digestion. When consumed before or alongside carbohydrates, it triggers the release of hormones that slow down gastric emptying. This process significantly flattens the glucose curve, ensuring that sugar enters the bloodstream at a manageable pace rather than all at once. The fix is to aim for a target of 25 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast. This isn't just a random number. It is the amount typically required to trigger muscle protein synthesis and provide a significant buffer for your blood sugar. To hit this goal, you need to think beyond a simple side of bacon. Consider making eggs a centerpiece, incorporating a bowl of cottage cheese, or adding high-quality options like smoked salmon or Greek yogurt to your plate. When you hit that 25-gram threshold early in the day, you set a metabolic tone that keeps your energy levels steady and your appetite under control until lunch. The fourth mistake involves a misplaced trust in heart-healthy labels found on boxed cereals and low-fat yogurts. These products are often specifically marketed to the 60-plus community, with promises of lower cholesterol or improved cardiac health. It is easy to assume that because a box features a heart check mark or a low-fat claim, it must be the right choice for your breakfast table. However, many of these products are essentially sugar traps in disguise, designed to appeal to your health goals while actually working against your blood sugar stability. The science behind this is rooted in how food is manufactured. When fat is removed from a product like yogurt or cereal, the flavor and texture usually suffer. To compensate and keep these products palatable, manufacturers often replace that fat with high amounts of sugar, corn syrup, or refined starches. These are ultra-processed ingredients that the body can process with almost zero effort. Because these foods often require very little chewing and are pre-broken down during manufacturing, they bypass the natural pacing of your digestive system and spike your glucose almost the moment they hit your stomach. The fix for this is to stop looking at the front of the package and start looking at the back. You need to become a detective with the Nutrition Facts panel, specifically looking for the added sugars line. Natural sugars from fruit or dairy are one thing, but added sugars are the primary culprit for metabolic spikes. A good rule of thumb is the 5-gram limit. If a single serving contains more than 5 grams of added sugar, it is likely to cause a significant glucose surge. By putting those products back on the shelf and opting for full-fat, unsweetened versions, you prioritize your metabolic health over deceptive marketing. The fifth and final mistake is something many of us do almost on autopilot: the coffee sweetener creep. It usually starts with just a splash of flavored creamer, or a single teaspoon of honey or agave. Because it feels like such a small amount compared to a full meal, it's easy to dismiss it as harmless. However, for many people over 60, this is the very first thing that enters the system in the morning, often on an empty stomach. This small habit creates a disproportionate impact on your metabolic state before you've even taken your first bite of food. The science here is all about the lack of resistance. When you consume simple sugars in liquid form on an empty stomach, there is no fiber, protein, or fat in the digestive tract to slow them down. These sugars enter the bloodstream almost instantly, triggering an early and aggressive insulin spike. This premature surge often sets off a biological chain reaction. Your body overcompensates for the sugar hit, leading to a blood sugar dip shortly after. This is why you might find yourself feeling ravenous or searching for a snack only 2 hours after waking up, even if you had a substantial breakfast later on. The fix is to change what you use to flavor your morning brew. To keep your glucose levels flat, switch to options that provide richness without the sugar response, such as heavy cream or unsweetened almond milk. The fat in heavy cream actually helps stabilize your energy rather than spiking it. If you miss the sensation of sweetness, try adding a dash of cinnamon. Cinnamon can trick the palate by adding a sweet perception and has the added benefit of potentially improving insulin sensitivity. By making your coffee blood sugar neutral, you ensure that your body stays in a steady, fat-burning state until you're ready for a balanced meal.